Thank you for calling on me. I appreciate it. We've been in contact for a long time. I have some of the deeper questions. So when we go into this pure physical, all that we are, why do we forget when we come back here? And couldn't we do it better? I'll go sit down.
It's all right. It's all right. It can't be done better. What could be better than endless consciousness asking for the next new, and then that new being transported and understood by non-physical and being the basis from which all come forward? How could that be wrong? And how could anything be better than sifting and sorting and deciding and then beginning anew with the premise of pure positive energy? So what you're talking about is not that. What your real question is how could, once we get here, we could be less resistant and more tapped in to who we were when we came? And we say it takes a personal life experience to cause that desire in the moment. It's not very satisfying to have someone say to you, it really is a really good plan. But what comes to your mind fastest? What is your biggest complaint about how it is?
I'm really enjoying life, so I don't have a complaint.
That's not what we ask you. Yes, you do have a complaint, or you could not have asked that question. Within that question, there is strong complaint. A complaint about how it all is set up, a complaint about the way the entire universe works. Couldn't it be done better? You don't hear that as a complaint?
No, I'm saying, why do we forget? I'm saying if we come in as pure positive energy as children and we're uncomplicated.
You couldn't possibly forget if you realize that when it feels good, it's you moving in the direction of it, and when it feels bad, it's you moving away from it. So if there's a specific answer to this important question, which we are really appreciating from you, the answer to that is because you have lost your place that it is good to feel good. Because your emotions will always lead you to the path of least resistance, and the path of least resistance and the path of most allowance are the same path. But think about what your human mind does even to the statement path of least resistance. Really? I'm supposed to do it the easy way? I'm supposed to do it the lazy way? I don't think I'm supposed to do it the easy way. I think I'm supposed to struggle and strain and bleed so that others will look at me and revere me. Isn't that the way it goes? So the reason that humans lose their way is because they're looking for love in all the wrong places. They're looking for guidance from the humans that surround them rather than the source from which they came. But no one ever temporarily loses their way without feeling negative emotion. So isn't the answer explaining what the negative emotion means and then encouraging someone in the direction of positive, good feeling emotion?
I'm all for the positive, good feeling.
Yeah.
I just think that as a jumping off point into this creation of all that we are, we could have a little more innate sense of who we are from the get-go and hold that easier, I guess.
It's innate, but you know, you enjoy a meal after you've been hungry so much more than when you've been satiated for days and days and days and days and days. We don't want to say to you, it's just that way, accept it. But it's just that way. Accept it. It's just that way. Accept it. We want to help you to tiptoe into it by acknowledging that satisfaction does feel good, and to begin noticing the correlation between the way you feel and the thought that you've been thinking. We break it down to you. There's always a teacher among you who will explain the bigger picture to you. And it's like our friend was explaining. She's walking down a hallway on her way to something else when a light is blinking that says, here's part of your path. Here's part of your path. Now, she stopped, but your question implies there's no path. Well, there is a path. She pre-paved her path. She set herself up a meditation spot and was walking past it when it called her in a way that she could receive it. Isn't the question, and you said it pretty well, why am I oblivious to my guidance? And we say, because you are willing to not feel good. And then you say, why am I willing to not feel good? And we say, because you were willing to please someone else rather than yourself. Well, why was I willing to please someone else rather than myself? Because they had puffed up really big, and they had laid down rules really strong, and they had become a driving force among the masses that is doing it the hard way, but they had some momentum going. And most humans would rather feel negative emotion than no emotion at all, because you can feel power in that anger, you can feel power in that mob, you can feel power in it. Well, how do you ask for that softer, sweeter energy if you haven't experienced something that you innately know is different? In other words, when someone is offering hate, the reason that it hurts you so much is because you innately know that you are the basis of love and that they are too, you see. So you never lose your guidance, and sometimes you have a sort of rough time, and then you call the likes of us or the likes of you, and we all do our best to explain it to each other. But really, everyone is born diving in or jumping in, as you say, with this triad of intentions of freedom and growth and joy. You are so free, you can choose bondage. Expansion or growth is inevitable, but that joy is a choice. And that's what we wish for so many, is that they could at least accept that it is good to feel good. And how you ever got crossways of that, that's the big question. How did I get crossways of believing that if it feels good, that it isn't? And that if it feels bad, that it is good? How did that get going? And that's a question that you might want to ask. This may answer this question easily. Humans, in your quest for answers and success, from our perspective, success is joy, but you get to choose what you think it is. You want to catalog and pigeonhole everything. So you make piles of everything. So your humanity, from the perspective of most of you, is there's a pile of Republicans and there's a pile of Democrats and they hate each other. There's a pile of Catholics and a pile of Protestants and so forth, and piles 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 and piles, piles and piles and piles, and whatever pile you're standing in, usually you think is the correct pile. And you usually feel some distress about all the other piles. And you bang around with each other and create wonderful vortices in the process. But then you revert to your miserable piles. We love you so much. We want you to understand that from the perspective of Source, there are two piles. All of humanity in this moment, which is all there is this moment. Source sees all of humanity in one of two piles, either under the influence of Source or not. That's it. And in every one of those other piles, there are those under the influence of Source or not. In every one of those piles, Democrats, some of them under the influence of Source, some not. Republicans, there are really only two piles, and it's happening in this moment, you see. The answer to what you're reaching for is what we talk about all day, every day, if anyone is listening, is to approach life with sensitivity to how the Source within you is viewing your moment in time. Now consider this. You said something so right. Coming into this physical body, you were very excited and very eager and very knowing your power and your strength and your worthiness. You knew all of that. And so in you come, splat. And then you move around and you come to some of your own decisions and determinations about things, and you add to your vortex, which is already well underway even before you got here. And as you're moving around in your physical body, everyone from non-physical, all those dearly departeds, especially those who have something to do with you, whether it's a subject that you're interested in or even a family bloodline, doesn't matter. They are, from their non-physical perspective, right out here with you on your leading edge, right there with you, every step along the way. You're not separated from them, other than that you might not know that they're there, and you might not be feeling for them. So then the question is, what we'd like to put to all of you, are you feeling for that influence, or are you checking out the opinions of the other physical humans? Which pile are you a vibrational match to? As you recognize this non-physical energy and you associate what it feels like when you are in vibrational alignment with it, then your heading gets stronger, then your readings are stronger, then you can tell where you are more, so that it's not the loudest voice that you're following, it's the voice that resonates the most within you. It's not the largest pile that entices you, it's the moment in time that feels the best. Nothing is more delicious than to be in your physical body, just dancing from pile to pile to pile while in tune with source energy, finding the best in everyone, because that's what your inner being sees, and that's only what your inner being sees. And then there's a sort of tipping of the fulcrum, a sort of flipping of your attitude about physical life experience. And then your question is, how could anyone not be just deliciously devouring this physical experience, where anything and everything that you've sifted out and put into your vortex, your pile of what you're asking for, is being offered to you at precise and perfect times, so that there's just a steady acknowledgement of my human personal value as the universe graces me with one more wonderful thing and another and another and another and another and another. And I make this promise to everyone who's listening, that's interested or not: I like this leading edge, and I'll always come to this leading edge. And the contrast is the best part of the leading edge, and the contrast builds the vortex. And I have within me guidance that has always been there, and I've always known it was there. And nothing will lead me back to my guidance of feeling good faster than not feeling good. It is working. It's working. It's working just right, don't you think? It's working just right. Can you imagine it working better? If you can, it'll be that. If you are in these bodies and you are imagining it better, then you're putting it into the vortex, and all that is source is behind you on that. And that's why life gets better and better and better and better and better. And it does. And it does.
Yes. Thank you.
Really good.
Thank you.
Really good.